Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're joining here with Ember Esports for a phenomenal ESL match. This is going to be super good. We got a lot of good players up on the Rift tonight as we're going to be heading straight into the action. My name is Sherry J, joined up with Rebecca as we are going to be getting straight on in. And for today's choice between, I guess, who's taking the sides, who's taking the bans first, it's going to be the Mundo Dodgeball to open us off on the Rift.
So we've got Monkey's Bonsai here against Conduit Demon Time. Our Mundo Dodgeball is going to be a pretty simple concept. Basically, each team is going to get a top laner into the Barren Pit of the Summoner's Rift. They're each going to take boots and 2 potions, as well as a control ward. And the wards are going to be used here to form a line or a barrier in between both sides of the Barren Pit in which the characters are not allowed to pass. Each one will start with their Q and will proceed to attempt to dodge the other person's cleavers. Whoever gets the first kill will get to choose which side or whoever picks first.
Yeah, it's a fun little system to get this game ongoing, and I think realistically, right, it also is a little bit of a tone setter for who's going to be the team that might have a little bit more prevalence up in the top side when it comes to the game itself. Mundo, a champion that a lot of top laners do at least spend a little bit of time exploring just because of how dominant and how dynamic the champion does get. There's a lot of damage output as well as a really good sustainability that works in this team setting rather than just a traditional ranked game where maybe you're going to try and run it down a little bit more. So we'll see, I guess, how this does start to really round out, I guess, the ideas, and maybe it'll even give us an idea beyond that to which team may be having a little bit more towards that, I guess, poking angle, right? Because if you're able to play well on a Mundo, that definitely does transfer over to other champions. And I don't know. I mean, you might know these teams a little bit better than I do. Are these like the regular top laners for these teams, or did they maybe even send somebody else on the team in who's a little bit more, I guess, powerful with the Dr. Mundo, utilizing the axe and using them instead of their traditional top laner to be able to play this matchup out?
No, this is actually their standard top laners here. We've got Antioch and the World Ender are versing off against each other. We're awaiting for the clarification on the exact rules, I believe, on both sides. You can see both characters, they actually have the same rune set. It's Arcane Comet with Scorch, basically are the relevant ones. There's also Second Wind, very important runes for that sustain and the ability to obviously outplay the healing potential of this Mundo Dodgeball. Remember, when you land a cleaver, it does heal you as Mundo.
Yeah,
So
Arcane
it's
Comet.
important to keep that in mind.
It just makes so much sense, right? You want that extra bit of damage. You want to be able to make sure that you can input as much onto your opponent in as little time as possible. And that extra, just a little bit of add-on does definitely start to speak towards the dividends that you can collect on. And as we are going to still just see a little bit of a standstill, they're just going to be waiting, right? Biding their time, looking for the first mistake
There it
to be
is.
found. And already the CDT side of things is off to a hot start.
It does seem like Conduit has a little bit more. Antioch definitely has more experience on this Mundo here. You can even see he's got a skin, so that must mean he's got more experience.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the big things is this is also a champion, and in this type of format as well, it's very easy to make comebacks on, right? When you connect your axe to your opponent in this Q setting, it does give you a bit of healing as well. So it really is just a situation where this World of Ender, they're not down just yet. They're still having opportunities to be able to bounce back, but they really do have to do it soon. If not, it really can start to turn against them.
Ooh, Flash comes out to dodge that cleaver. But if you notice, the World Ender actually still has one more health pop left. Antioch has already popped both of his, and a little bit of lag there, but we are going to see a lot more potential coming out here right now with this health pop being popped. Remember, the health cost of the cleaver does make a substantial difference in these fights. The health cannot decrease your personal health below the threshold. However, it does cost quite a bit. Ooh, the flash comes out to dodge Antioch's last cleaver, and that will be it for World Ender.
It's a great way to be able to end off, despite a start that certainly seemed like it wasn't going to go the World Ender's way. They were able to inevitably take the win just at that last moment. The HP bar getting low, but they procced the Ghost and was just able to give them that excess of speed necessary to be able to just bounce around, make sure that they can evade any type of axe coming their way, and it just worked really well for them. So we'll see what they are going to elect to choose, red side, blue side. One would imagine blue side might be a little bit more viable in a game like this, but obviously they will get that chance, they'll get that choice. Maybe they want to try and throw their opponents for a bit of a curveball. Who knows?
I do believe that they separate side choice from pick order as well. So blue
Yes.
side does not necessarily get that first pick. So they can choose to get first pick or second pick. I know most of the time in this specific league, most times people choose to pick second, just to get that counter pick, especially for that top laner. Given the fact that this is a top laner fight that just occurred, it would make sense to reward your top laner with the counter pick in top lane.
Well, the other side of that coin does become the fact that yes, you'd want to be able to give them a little bit of extra, I guess, ease in that matchup, being able to choose the best champion for the job. But they already were able to beat their opponent top lane. And yes, maybe not on either player's most viable champion, but it still does show a little bit of mechanical prowess that they are going to be able to put above their opponent in this game. So maybe that's something to consider. More likely, I think that you're on a pretty realistic note of they're going to want to try and pick second. They're going to want to try and get their top laner as fed as possible, and the start of that definitely does come with giving them the best matchup. So we'll see whether or not they're going to inevitably play anything crazy into this draft, but I would imagine we will be seeing some pretty standard stuff. back, ladies and gentlemen. We're joining you once more as we are getting underway with this draft. We got both teams settled on the rift. We're going to see which one's able to come out on top in game number one. My name is Sir J, joined once more with Rebecca. We already got to see a little bit of a battle between the Mundos, and now we come on to the real game. We'll see who's able to take it from there.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting battle as we saw with that Mundo fight. It's really anybody's game, and top laners know that with any matchup. We fortunately have already gotten to see a little bit of this ban pick phase already occurring here. The first ban not selected here on the side of Monkeys is a Rek'Sai ban, just for everybody's information. But we are seeing an Ornn v Aatrox matchup in our top lane, Pantheon Viego in jungle.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? It certainly seems like kind of the idea that they had coming into this was we're going to ban off the supports, we're looking to pinch that pool, and now we're going to build a little bit more towards the tankier end, right? The Ornn, Pantheon, both getting picked out, both utilizing a whole plethora of armor. On the other side of things, the Aatrox, Viego, really good damage dealers in 1v1 scenarios, but when it comes to team fightings, they're really going to have to try and pull out all the stops to be able to win.
Aatrox does have a lot of teamfight potential, especially nowadays with his current build. That health, the Omnivamp he gets from his E, the knockups he gets from his abilities in general. Obviously, he no longer has his revive, may it rest in peace in patch 9.13, but he still has such a phenomenal knockup potential and just AoE team fight and 1v1 potential that we'll see if they're able to utilize here with that World Ender. Funny enough, it is not actually going to be played here by the World Ender, the player. It's was taken by Antioch, the other top laner, on Conduit.
Yeah, this is certainly just a very good draft, right? We look at the kind of scenario they got going: Jinx, Poppy versus the Tristana Blitzcrank. I think this Jinx Poppy certainly going to thrive in the bot lane because of the fact that when you look towards how this is definitely going to be played out, there's not going to be a whole lot of rocket jump potential for Tristana. Instead, what's going to be happening is it's going to be a whole plethora of just constant steadfast presences from the Poppy, who's going to be keeping you locked down, keeping you locked up, and overall putting you in a scenario where you're just going to be constantly grounded, unable to get close, close the distance. The Blitzcrank maybe is going to be able to pull in the Jinx, but I think the Poppy in general likely to be able to stay in front, be the one to soak up the majority of the damage, and Jinx thrives when they have a tankier player with them able to just kind of deal out all the damage that they want while someone else is taking the fall for it. As we are going to be looking to get into this game soon. One of the big things we definitely have to look at, though, is still going to be that jungling matchup. The Pantheon, a player who certainly is going to be looking to get active across the map, has the Grand Starfall, looking to just constantly find ganks up in the bot side specifically, as they're going to really look to try and put the hurt onto this Tristana Blitzcrank gameplay. And beyond that as well, the mid lane certainly going to be a very volatile position to be in, as neither really having a whole lot of mobility in their kits. Yes, there's a few Suns, yes, there's a few CCs, but in general, that's where the junglers are likely going to be spending the majority of their presence, looking to try and find a gank willing to get that early kill involved. And I think the Viego are going to have a similar play. They're going to likely look to try and support in that aspect, but they don't have nearly as much mobility as the Pantheon, which is going to cause them to be a little bit lackluster when it comes to being able to be mobile across the map.
It does appear that we are a little ahead of our pick ban order here. I do apologize for that. But we are catching up here slowly but surely. The bans and picks are still coming through here, as you can see on our screen. Actually, the Ambeza just being banned here on the in time in terms of where we are in the stream.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong thing. Wow. Oh man, oh man. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
awkward,
oh my
awkward moment
gosh,
for
wow,
us.
that is so tragic. I was looking at the wrong stream. Oh man, wow. Yeah, I mean, it was a very similar band though. There's not a whole lot to change, right? We kind of talk about it. I mean, you look at the Pantheon, you look at the Poppy. It's characters that are going to look to lock everyone up. It's characters that are going to look to try and use those hit stuns, be able to keep people grounded. And the main target of this is going to likely be that Viego Tristana. Obviously, the Tristana, a lot of mobility, a lot of getaway with that rocket jump, with their R being that not super death rocket. That's the other one, but the Buster shot, something that's going to be able to create a lot of distance between somebody like the Pantheon, who's likely going to be looking to get on top of you in each and every team fight. So that's something that they're certainly going to have to deal with. And I think a major way of doing that is going to be starting to create a little bit more pressure towards them within the engagements early on. If you don't allow the Tristanas to stay alive, more often than not, they're going to be taken to a little bit of a lackluster HP line, and that forces them to be a lot more conservative with their HP, forcing them to be a little bit more lackluster. We see that Victor lock-in as well, something that we'd alluded to. It's a very volatile pick. It can get a whole ton of damage. You see a lot of players in that tier 3, tier 2 circuit who can really pilot this character to the extremes, being able to find 10, 20 kills, but it's at the same time a character that can also get shut down easily if the Viego Tristana are able to come on top of them and just start dishing out damage. Now we'll see what Conduit Demon Time does look to lock in. The answer is going to be the Zyra, right? That's a matchup in the mid lane that's a little bit more on the unconventional side. The Zyra, a pick that traditionally doesn't get seen too often, right? It's not seen in the mid lane. It's we kind of look at this and you'd imagine, okay, maybe it's in the support, maybe it's in jungle, right? You look towards the LEC. That's where the Zyra jungle was super common last year, but overall, it is not something that you really do look at and you say, okay, this is likely to be a mid laner. So we'll see how this matchup will end up going. Honestly, in terms of compositions, I favor Monkey's Bonsai a little bit more just because of the more conventional approach that they do come into this game with. What do you kind of think coming into this, though?
Uh, I actually think the opposite, honestly. I really like this Demon Time loadout that they've got here. The Blitzcrank Tristana potential in bot lane, that hook that the Rocket Grab has onto the enemy, it doesn't make a difference whether that Poppy has that W up or not. Tristana doesn't have to jump in right off the bat. She can wait it out, she can get out her burst, and then once people stop their abilities, their getaways, or they at least attempt to escape, Tristana has that jump to be able to go in after the fact to chase and follow up. They have the Aatrox, they have the Zyra, they have a lot of reset potential here. As we go into the Rift, you're going to see a lot of reset potential, especially from the side of this red. Simply because of that Viego, the Zyra, the Aatrox, and the Tristana rocket jump. All of those have the ability to get those resets on death.
Yeah, the way that I'm looking at this, though, it's just a scenario where I think if you were gonna lock in that Tristana with the Blitzcrank, there's just a little bit of a better option in that Ashe that could maybe be
Already
a little
got
bit more
coming out on the
action.
bot side here.
Oh, they're not
Rocket
able to
Grab
finish off
grabs
the
that-
rocket, though.
yeah. Still quite a bit of poke that's been coming out here. Quite just the instant Blitzcrank hook coming out on the side of Conduit. They're able to nail this early potential, early ability popping. There is a heal from the Blitzcrank here as opposed to the Ignite from the Poppy, but we likely will not see those right off the bat here.
Yeah, I think it's a game where we're looking at this and we're kind of expecting, okay, yep, this is definitely going to be that, okay, if I'm the Poppy, I'm saying I need to protect my Jinx. And so far at the start, it really worked off well. We see him at around that 70-80% mark, and it definitely got a little bit aggressive early on. They're able to evade the hook once more, and so that's going to give them around 15 seconds of free time to be able to extend themselves maybe a little bit more than they would if they knew that hook was up. But as of now, it is just going to be that standard tried and true. Neither team getting too offensive, nothing crazy coming out just yet. Still, we look at both junglers piloting down towards bot side. They're looking to get early ganks off in that regard rather than trying to fight up in top side, which I definitely do approve of, because if you look at that Ornn, that's a tanky character. The World Ender, not going to be someone who's going to likely look to get early fights, and they might actually have a good one up in topside, as they are doing a surprisingly well job fighting into an Aatrox, someone who traditionally would be a little bit more actionable in this matchup when it comes to being able to find damage in the center of the wave rather than having it crashing on them, which it does seem like it's going to be doing pretty soon.
You can actually see here, Ornn got a cheeky back here. Doesn't have TP, but he's going to be able to get this back with that wave shoved into the Aatrox. Getting this fast reset, is able to buy that refillable potion and a control word, just to get that little bit of advantage onto Aatrox, a character who has a lot of sustain by himself as it is.
Yeah, at this point, we're seeing my team is muted. A very funny name, and honestly, I wouldn't expect it from anyone outside of the ADC Jinx player. Such a nice champion, able to get so much damage on, but at this point, they're going to have to deal with the bot lane ensuing, as there's a whole lot of players over there looking to get some action, and the Blitzcrank might be able to facilitate something as they have that hook online, but right now, as they're both under that bot lane tower, neither going to want to try and fight this early.
Yeah, this is just your standard back and forth here. We do have support quests that are being followed up here. Poppy is just barely ahead, but not by much. It's not enough to make a difference. This is a fairly even field right now. You can see just the amount of vision that's already out on this field. It does look like we have a little bit of a skirmish possibly going to happen on this Scuttle Crab. It did get obtained by Audit, but I don't think they're going to be fighting this one.
Yeah, but at this point, I mean, we look at the Rockets. They're coming out from my team's muted. They're doing a good job clearing away this wave. They've officially hit that 100 plus on their opponent laner, so they're looking like they might be able to put up some good damage. It's a little bit more traditional in this mid lane, as we are looking at the insane damage being put up onto DK Lugs, as they are now all the way down to just a sliver of their HP line. Nothing to be happy about by any means. The World Ender going to be undeterred, as one would initially expect into this matchup. Not totally sure what happened. Neither player died, but the Orange just lost so much of the momentum that they had early on within this wave.
I think the Aatrox got another back while they were attempting to go ahead and get that wave shoved in. Ornn got the freeze off in that top side, but at the cost of Aatrox getting that free back, getting the potential that they needed. And it does look like we might have a possible kill here. Flash coming out from the Aatrox. Ignite comes out from the Ornn. It's not going to be enough to actually kill this Ornn. He is left at quite a little amount of HP. To be exact, it's 45. Barely being able to escape here.
Not good by any means, and this Ornn, they don't have that TP online either. They elected to go with the Ignite instead, which is going to make them be in a little bit of a sticky situation when they got it back, right? The Aatrox going to be very disciplined, not going to try and get that extra plate. Instead, they're going to opt in to back up to their own turret as well. And with a 300 gold lead, they're definitely going to be the player who's looking a little bit stronger, right? You see the Bramble Vest coming out from the Ornn. That'll give them a good way into the Aatrox matchup, as they definitely are going to be a little bit more damage done, I guess would be the word, as they're now having that anti-heal. So this Aatrox not going to be nearly as happy as they would have been at the start of this wave. We'll see whether or not that does change how this does end up going. Not going to be able to get either of these two last minions, and they're just going to hit each other really, really hard. But already the World Ender looking great into this matchup, hitting all the correct inputs.
You got to be careful here. I said it before, Aatrox is known as the World Ender. So whenever we call out the World Ender here, we're not referring to Aatrox, we're referring to the player, who's actually the Ornn in this situation. not to confuse anyone.
Oh, but looking up towards top side, a tragic call. The Forge God won't be able to make the connection, and flash on. It's good, it's great, and it's the World Ender who will be taken down, but not the World Ender player. It's the World Ender ult, as they're now taken off the board, and it is a great start from this Conduit squad, as they're already just delivering this early blow up towards top side.
That was actually monkeys, though.
Oh, you are so right.
Early skirmish coming out on this bot side, though. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get anything major out of it. Mid lane also getting a nice trade here. R comes out from the Victor, but it doesn't look like it's enough to be able to actually finish off that Zero without the upgrades that increase the speed of his ultimate.
I mean, at this point, it is just a tragedy in the making. Flash up! It's a nice...
out.
Oh, that is so sad. They could not finish the kill.
Enough.
And they might fall for it as well as the flash comes through, and yep. Oh, wait. Oh, from the absolute brink. You look at that Jinx in bot lane. So much time between that rocket and meeting its mark, yet they hit it, predicting a phenomenally done kill in that bot lane to the mid lane. And obviously there was the trade, so it was that 1-for-1. And actually they get another kill as well. And so overall, it's a really good response from Conduit, as they're able to put themselves up in an equalized kill position and take back the lead as well with a little bit under 200 gold. They're going to be able to get a Drake in that same right. Nobody to contest it. At this point, if I'm on this Monkeys Bonsai squad, the main thing that they're going to have to elect to do is find those Void Grubs. If you can do that, it'll get your Ornn a little bit more, I guess, options when it comes to having the opportunity to split push. And if that's the case, they might be able to get some damage done. You see the Poppy starting to opt in towards that side of the map, but the Pantheon on the other side of things completely unlocated nearby. So it is just a little bit of a weird stretch. I guess they might try and have this Pantheon maybe just stick towards the bot lane for the time being, but they're going to back actually. So maybe the idea is going to be, we're going to back, we're going to get our items, then we're going to go for Void Grubs.
Yeah, keep in mind that Poppy is the support here. They are behind in their support item quite substantially now that they've roamed quite far up to top lane. Their support item is actually only at 334, while the Blitzcrank has already completed his first step on the way to that level 3. He is at 500 quest gold and looking in this mid lane as a result. Ornn trades coming out here on the top side. That brittle power just truly chunking this Aatrox's health, but it's not enough to really make a huge substantial difference, simply because this is a top lane tank v tank battle. They have so much sustain on the Aatrox, so much tankiness on the Ornn. There's always going to be a lot of trades here, but the Ornn ultimate is coming out with the Aatrox ult as well. This Aatrox does get ignited, and that is going to be enough to kill him just barely, only because of that anti-heal.
The World Ender is doing some astronomically good jobs up and top side. As they were behind on the gold, they came into that fight down, I believe, in terms of items at least. All they really had was that Bramble Vest, I think. They didn't even have the chainmail, I could be wrong on that, but overall, it certainly did not seem like a winnable fight, and yet they still utilized the Call of the Iron Forge to be able to instantly collect that. Now, as the
coming out in the bot lane here, though.
That's tragic. They were not able to lock up the Blitzcrank, not able to get them down before they get under tower, and so the investment of the Grand Starfall, the investment of so much time put into this fight, it is going to go away from them. And you look at the Viego, they'll be able to get the Void Grubs up for free.
If you notice, Red Side has so much vision here. Just the amount of sheer power that vision has, simply because that support item is completed on the side of the Blitzcrank. He has that ability to ward up, to get that vision on Drake, on Void Grubs, before any of our monkeys are able to get any vision on the Grubs, on the Drake. And as a result, even during that Drake fight, monkeys had no idea whether they were on Grubs or Drake, so they had no idea which one to go for.
Already, the Straggle Thorns pulled out in the mid lane, meaning that they won't be a great idea to execute if they do end up getting into that area, but unwise to audit the ADC coming up towards top side. They will be able to steal away that kill and get themselves up, and they've just been punishing this Aatrox through and through. Now 0-3 on the game. It really does seem like the Monkeys are going to be able to pull away with this.
So that advantage is there on their jungler. You can see jungler already has first item. He's got that Sundered Sky. That's such a huge choice in this way of sustain. Aatrox doesn't have the way of any type of anti-heal and isn't able to stop Pantheon from being able to get his empowered W, those empowered auto attacks, off in time to be able to make a difference.
Oh, but look down towards bot lane already. You look at this Poppy. They were able to dash into him, hit him against the terrain, hit him with the stun for the first time. Then the Jinx as well comes in with the stun. They just constantly locked them up. And now Supporta in a position of disappointment for sure, as they have to be super, super wary of this lethal Poppy coming in. They already attempted to strike them with the pull once. This is where you do have to get a little bit more cautious if you are on the Monkeys Bonsai squad, as you understand the fact that if you do get pulled, that can be your life then and there. Audit the ADC likely detected both junglers now commencing in the bot lane. Great lockup as they get this grounded onto the opposing Viego, and the Grand Starfall looking to completely annihilate the chances. Barrier out from this Tristana, but it won't matter as my team is muted. Gable to get the double kill, and they're looking to get the next. Audit the ADC for another elimination, and it's all up to DK Lugs, who came in late, but they're likely not going to be able to survive. The ulti from the Jinx is the first, and it'll be the Pantheon for that Comet Spear to end it off, and they put on the 9th kill. Certainly seems like Monkeys Bonsai has this game all figured out.
So Monkeys Bonsai actually got a pick in top lane as well in that situation. During that whole skirmish, the Zyra was TPing into the bot side. We were so focused on bot, but there actually was an engage in the top side from the Ornn onto that Aatrox yet again, getting that pick before anyone was able to do anything about it. You can see the early wards, you can see the early vision. You know, they get this Drake off, they are able to steal it, luckily enough, but Pantheon does die for it.
It's just not the ideal position by any means. This gold deficit starting to close a little bit as they get that kill up in the jungler position. Now with the bottom T shut down, it'll give this Viego a little bit of a workaround, get a little bit more gold. They already have the collector online. Definitely a nice item for dealing with this Jinx, who is really starting to come in, empowering themselves with these first few items online. They're definitely going to be a big threat needed to be dealt with, as the Jinx on the other side of things still having a good amount of gold for themselves, but not nearly as much. So we are just going to continue to see Bonsai pulling through up towards bot lane once more. They are going to have to deal with this Viego on the other side of things. Now they do have a very sustainable bot lane comp, and as they do get hit with the hook, it might get a little bit more tragic here, as they're investing a whole plethora of utility, but it won't matter. Wheelchair jungler just getting completely shut down.
Keep in mind, this Jinx is up an entire item on this bot lane, on everybody in the game. So she has that advantage in every single one of these fights. It doesn't make a difference. Straggledom comes out from the Zyra, is able to pick up on that Poppy. But the advantage that this Jinx has is going to be tough to be able to counter out the fight that is occurring just in the bot lane in general. The gold deficit on this Tristana not as high as we think it would be, but it's still 1,000 gold. Stun comes out for the Pantheon here. You can see this orange is brittle, chunks out that health, 12% health damage at this level, and just incredible amounts. I apologize, it's actually 16% of health damage. They decided to max W here, as they look towards this Rift Herald.
This is going to be the first or second objective that they are going to fight for, and realistically, I think this could be the first actual team fight we'll be seeing in this game. Yes, there's been the bot lane scuffle that we saw earlier, but it didn't really have nearly as many players involved as there could be for this fight for Herald, as Nike Dragon gets taken down.
Does get that.
Yeah, that's tragically losing that, as they had the opportunity to possibly shut down the opposing Jinx. Now, we'll be seeing that Viego getting detected. There is still the no real summoner spells for My Team is Muted that could cause them a bit of distress. However, they are going to be able to get away in the end.
Since Viego doesn't have that flash, he can't get the flash stun onto that Jinx to be able to finish her off. He doesn't have the... He has the R, but it's just too risky to be able to R into a Jinx when she has those choppers up and able to root. You can see this, just the red side vision might be there, but the gold isn't.
An 0-5 Aatrox, definitely not the ideal position, but they are definitely getting to that point where they might be able to help out a little bit more if they can take down this turret and get a little bit of extra gold for themselves. They have that Black Cleaver that will be super nice into their opponents, right? You're dealing with a whole lot of armor getting built up with the Poppy, the Pantheon, with the Ornn. All three are going to be threats that you're going to likely be the one forced to dismantle. And as we do kind of look at this game, right, not a whole lot of objectives coming up soon. We look at that minute on the clock till that Hextech Drake does come online. That's going to be a big one, as both teams currently tied 1-1. That extra one will start to really change the tempo, right? Who's going to be the team leading this game? One would have to imagine Bonsai has that in the bag with the current state of things. 5k gold up. They're likely going to look to continue facilitating fights that are favorable for them. But as of now, they take the turret, get a bit of extra gold onto their ADC. The perfect player to be able to do it. Certainly seems like an IE is going to be the next item on the chopping block for them, as they already have 2 of the 3 components needed for the Infinity Edge. But as we are going to just look back towards bot lane, instantaneously ults get spoken from this DK Lugs, but they are also going to extinguish a flash, really respecting the fact that this Victor is coming online at this point in the game.
DKLux is just not able to get that burst off. Remember, Zyra is a burn champion, not a burst. So Victor does take quite a bit more instant damage than this Zyra can actually output.
And going back towards bot side, only a few more moments until they're likely going to start going for it, and they are just going to inevitably press the right click button on it and take this one pretty swiftly, getting that Drake. No real contestation. Everyone up towards top side, a couple players up down towards mid. Nobody to really hold these. They're likely going to be able to take top lane tower over from the Aatrox, and maybe even have that Viego support in some capacity. Certainly does seem like with the Grand Starfall coming out, it is DK Lugs who's going to really be in a precarious situation very fast.
DKLux is able to stay under this turret, though that still is up, is going to be able to out-sustain. Rift Herald is placed, though, from Audit. I'm assuming they're going to try to take this turret down before they try to take out Lugs. Blitzcrank is going to show up here a little bit late to the party, but never too late. A little fashionably late, you may say. Tristana also coming in here, possibly on this angle. They know that they have vision in this bush, so Tristana is seen as Blitzcrank rushes in to try to pick off this Pantheon or Victor. Flash comes out from the Blitzcrank. The rocket grab misses the Victor, and not going to be able to get any value out of that flash or this time spent in the bot lane.
As Monkey's Bonsai taking their time up towards top side, looking to try and gather a little bit of an information over towards Baron. The Ornn possibly trying to scout it out, getting the rest of the team wary, because they're so far 21 minutes into the game. They have the gold efficiency to be able to fight for it. One would have to imagine with the 3-item Jinx, they can likely take that down. Maybe not in swift fashion, but they could definitely force a fight out from Conduit, forcing them to say, yes, we're going to try and contest against this Baron, and if not, then you're going to be dealing with 3 lanes, empowered minions, and a whole ton of Jinx bullets spraying your way. So overall, I'm definitely looking at this game and I'm thinking, Monkeys, they have this one practically in the back.
we do have to watch for these resets. If it only takes one fight for this Viego, for this Aatrox, for this Tristana to be able to come back into this game, simply because of the type of champions that these are, Viego doesn't need too many items to be able to snowball. All it needs is just a couple just to get ahead in gold, and that'll be enough. It does look like they're trying to bait some kind of Baron here out from the side of Bonsai's.
Oh, but a nice lockup forces this Blitzcrank against the wall. Will be able to charge an ultimate off, but unfortunately nothing to really come off of it. Instead, they're going to just start opting in for the Baron. Certainly does seem like this is going to be the end-all be-all for them. They're going to be able to detect the Aatrox up in topside. They're conceding their current location, going back over towards Wave, looking to try and get a little bit of extra CS as the rest of the team starts rallying back. But as they are in that 4v5, this could definitely be the ideal position for Bonsai to start fighting, as they're already going to have...
It's actually a 4v4. I hate to cut you off here. Victor is actually in the bot lane here without TP. So he's actually going to have to run up here as they start to take this Baron. If Red is able to engage on this fight quickly, they might actually be able to get here before Victor actually shows up. Or an ultimate comes out, Ram coming through, hits on the Viego. They're able to pick off this jungler. No smite available on the side of Red. Worldender comes out from the side of the Aatrox. I'm referring to the ultimate there, but it's not actually enough to make a difference.
And was as you said, we will see the mid laner getting called out. Flash over the wall, going to be phenomenally done as they isolate everyone away from the Baron. And this should be free for the taking for the time being, as they're all going to be scuttering to get back into this action, as they do put up a little bit of information, getting the available ideas, and so low HP on a lot of these players, but it is the Tristana who's isolated. Nice rocket from the Jinx, isolating this next player, as there's still going to be so much room between them and their teammate. Finally, they get out with their lives intact, but unfortunately, there will still be the Baron conceded. Conduit now backs against the wall. They had a tragic team fight, only able to find a kill or maybe two, and overall, it was just a very, very big deficit you cannot be allowing to exceed.
Bonsai got that pick on the Viego, denying the smite ability from this Conduit team. And that just really limits their ability to be able to take objectives, to be able to steal them, or even contest them for that matter. Pantheon was still up. He still had that smite. He still had everything he needed, even his ultimate, which unfortunately, obviously, is not going to be very useful in a small team fight. But the point is, he still had everything up. He still had everything he needed. And Viego just was not there to be able to help his team.
Oh, look towards this bot lane. Oh man, DK Lugs already taken down as 3 players jumping onto them. A phenomenal dive, able to reclaim another Drake, going on to Soul Point and a Hextech Soul. Certainly nothing to scoff at. One of the best, if not the best, in the entirety of the game. Call of the Iron Forge comes out, looking to try and isolate the first. Going to be going unstoppable, so they're not able to take the CC onto the Viego, but they do still look to isolate Nike Dragon. Flash in, able to knock up both.
Ooh.
Phenomenal ult from My Team is muted, and it'll get the double kill. They're still looking to try and push the issue, as My Team is muted, puts up a triple kill, takes the tier 2 turret, looking to go for a tier 3, looking to end this game as exclusively the top laners alive. Somebody who has had a very, very unfortunate performance, only 2 items so far, and My Team is muted, not stopping there. They still take the inhibitor. Now they're going to be going even further as they take another player back to spawn, put him in the well, and they're already knocking at the turrets. The first one goes down.
This Nexus does look like it might fall here. Zyra does fall. Plug's not able to get enough out. Aatrox still ignited, dead. Not enough life still coming out from him. Tristana just not able to do enough, and the Nexus does fall. Those resets on that Jinx coming through, able to get enough after a rough start in that top side, not able to get enough out. Jungle was able to pick up those kills on top side and then help bot lane, help that Jinx out as Pantheon to be able to get those kills, get that gold, get that huge advantage onto that Tristana, and inevitably win this game out.
Conduit Demon Time can need to do a complete resurgence if they want any chance of taking game number 2. So far, game number 1 looked very, very lopsided as you had My Team is Muted, who had a extraordinary performance to say the least. 10-0-7, a dominant delivery from the Jinx, and as well as that, you look towards mid lane. Yes, they were negative, but they still looked phenomenal. They were constantly forcing the Syra to respect their presence. They had a ton of gold through and through. Over in the jungle, you really cannot understate it. This Pantheon was doing insane work. They were on demon time, as the only real flaw that we kind of saw in the game was that lack of priority when it comes to trying to fight for these objectives, right? They kind of allowed those grubs to be conceded without a second thought, but beyond that, they played amazingly. Top side, same thing. There was constant solo kills from an Orange, somebody who traditionally does not have that potency when it comes to their DPS. They are a character that loves to stay alive, and that's about it.
I don't know about that one, in my personal opinion. I'm a huge fan of Ornn, so I guess I'm a little bit biased, but Ornn does have a lot of burst potential with that W that he's got, that breath. It applies the brittle, it does at max rank 16% health, brittle applies another 16%. That's a total of 32% maximum HP being applied to an enemy with one ability, not to mention the rest of his combo. So that is quite a bit of damage that can be applied to anybody who comes too close to feel the wrath of the Forge God.
In general, phenomenally done for sure. This team has been looking absolutely out of this world. We'll see whether or not they can continue this. Ember Esports only recently starting up their newest season, and so far it has already been jam-packed, full of action. I cannot wait to see what's going to be up ahead of us with game number 2 right around the corner. We'll be seeing that resurgence I mentioned a little bit ago, or will this Monkeys squad just maintain the dominance that they've been able to display? We'll be right back with game number 2 right around the corner. Don't go anywhere, folks. ladies and gentlemen, we're joining you once more as we're going to be getting underway with the draft in just a moment, as we already are going to be looking to, get this game underway, right? Monkeys Bonsai having a very dominant game number one. They took it out in phenomenal fashion. Conduit Demon Time, unfortunately, just getting outplayed on about every aspect. They never really were able to find a substantial lead, and that's something that really did follow them throughout the entirety of game number one. We'll see whether or not they can change as we head into game number two, but it certainly is looking dire.
Yeah, that jungle, or sorry, not that jungle. The Mundo dodgeball 1v1 definitely telling for that outcome of top lane. The comeback from the World Ender in that first 1v1 to determine side selection is exactly how top lane actually ended up playing out. They started off a little rough around the edges and ended up coming back and taking the win.
It looks very good from them for sure. As we get underway, draft looks very similar. Monkeys Bonsai taking the same bans as what we saw in game number one. Conduit Demon Time, I think, choosing the same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it looks very similar for sure.
Doesn't look like Bonsai wants to play against this Rek'Sai by any means. Ashe coming through on the ADC pick for Bonsai, most likely, unless we see some wonky other ADC in the Ashe support, but I haven't seen that in quite a bit of time.
Yeah, Ashe support just not something that really comes out too often, but I wouldn't be surprised, right? With the way that they like to play their bot lane last game where they had that Blitzcrank, I wouldn't be surprised if they try and do something similar, but I wouldn't be surprised as well if they go for like an Ashe Nautilus bot lane, right? Or like maybe add a Leona, a Rel, something in that regard. But the Misfortune already getting locked in, I wouldn't, in the same aspect, likely to lock in something like that Leona, like that Rel, to be able to combo well with the Misfortune, as you're going to like to rain down bullets all over your opponent for sure.
Oh, but the Seraphine pick comes out to combo with the Misfortune. I would not be shocked here to see our staple Ashe Braum combo here. It's such a common bot lane pick. It's such a staple, strong bot lane for either way. J4 coming out on the side of Bonsai, and there is the Braum, Mr. Door himself.
Yeah, the Brahm's definitely an interesting one. I can't say I expected it too much. I was kind of initially expecting a little bit more of a faster tempo support, just to be able to guide this Ashe to be able to find those kills like what we saw in the last game. But that definitely does make sense. They're going to look to play this matchup well with the junglers, especially where they're running the most meta things as possible. Xin Zhao, Jarvan 4. It's just that's tried and true, something that you always do look to lock in each and every game.
A buddy of mine once said that there are certain junglers that you'd love to see your friends play or your teammates play, and they're called good boy champs. The staple Xin Zhao, J4, Sejuani, Gragas, your tried and true staple junglers, and that's exactly what we're seeing here on both sides of this team. We'll definitely be seeing a lot of potential from the Seraphine here with all of the slows that are already seen between Xin Zhao, Misfortune. You can see the Scion band coming out from Bonsai with a TF and an Ari band on Conduit Demon Time. They really don't want Bonsai to control the map as much as they did this last game. Because remember that Poppy did roam very early in the game up to top side, getting that vision, getting that potential. Though they didn't end up getting any ganks out of it, they still want to deny the potentially deadly roam that either one of these champions, Twisted Fate or Ori, potentially have.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a weird game as we look at it. I wouldn't be surprised if Conduit Demon Time comes out the gate looking strong, as they got that ADC that's looking to play early game well as now a Mel who's really going to look to try and put the hurt on in the mid lane. It was a rough turn of events last game, to remember the mage versus mage definitely was not the ideal matchup for them, but this time around maybe it can get a little bit different.
Zyra was not exactly the best call for a mid laner by any means, especially with the Victor being against him just being outranged. But Mel does have quite a good potential. Unfortunately, it does look like she's up against Galio, which is going to make for another tough mid lane battle. I kind of feel bad a little bit just because Galio is the anti-mage champion that we all know and love from Demacia, his Petricite definitely being known for countering any mage that is in his way, Mel being one of them. Darius being picked here as a top laner blind pick, just your normal staple Darius. He's got that pull, he's got that slow, the damage is always there. A good, reliable AD champion. Not a lot of AP besides Galio on the side of Bonsai, but I don't really think that they care. They have a lot of AP on Demon Time, and they have this Galio. The response of the Vayne to this Darius Galio Braum, though, is very interesting because it opens up an opportunity for them for this Demon Time loadout to outplay. Vayne has that potential. She has the mobility. She has even the condemn for the J4 ultimate that could potentially change the tides of either or any type of fight. But it is in top side most likely, as we are going to see it versus the Darius.
Yeah, the issue with this comp is that front line, though. If you allow this Darius to come ahead, what's going to happen is they're going to be able to just run over the entirety of your composition. The Seraphine going to be the main, try and just hold her for them with their Q and their E, but I don't know how feasible that's going to be because of the fact that, you know, you got that Galio to stand with you. They can lock somebody up if they get close enough, hit them with that fear, do all the good stuff, trying to lock them in. It's just generally going to be Monkey's Bonsai. If they can get ahead, their game to lose. They are the ones that will likely be dictating the pace of this, and I think Conduit Demon Time really can have to try and work out how they're going to deal with that issue.
There is so much frontline from Bonsai. There's so much potential with these engages. Darius hook, Galio engage with that heroic entrance. Braum, who's got both his Q and his R, be able to get a stun or a knockup in either context. J4 having his EQ combo, having that R, that Cataclysm, being able to keep everybody in that little area surrounded by those rocks. Just a lot of potentially dangerous combinations, especially between Galio and J4. It's one of the most staple combos that we see in general. The only thing that could possibly be more staple was if we would see the Galio in support with an Orianna in mid lane. Like that combo is very well known. It's what everybody kind of looks for in professional play is that J4 Galio combo.
Immediately, a little bit of damage getting placed onto both sides. Able to get the Stolo off his Supporta in a rough scenario to open up the game. Already so much damage being dished onto them. They're going to have to relinquish that opening heal potion. Already not ideal, but let's see what that is going to inevitably translate to. But it just seems like we're going to the same things last game, right? They wait till like around that 6 minutes to kill. Then it's going to be up to Audit the ADC or Weechael Jungler to be able to come in and find that kill to be able to support. And I think the likelihood of that is going to be more so on that bot lane than ever, right? Last game, there was a lot more, I guess, ideas towards the mid lane. This time, that's a little bit more on the lackluster end of things, right? You have that Reflect if you are the Mel, somebody who's going to be looking to just hit the rebuttal on you super often, as well as the Solar Flare, just to be able to get you off their back.
We are seeing quite a bit of dueling off on this top lane. Instantly Ghost Flash popped from this Vayne. Darius barely getting away. It does appear he has Hex Flash.
Huh. That's a... I don't know if that's a mistake or not. That's a weird pick.
I mean, normally you would remake for something like a mistake like that. So I don't think this is an accident. You know, the phase rush replacement here being seen from both Darius and Galio. That new Storm Raiders surge being utilized by both of them, uh, trying to get that rundown potential. Vayne, interesting enough, is using that new skin that just came out. I'm not 100% sure what the name of it is, to be honest with you. But uh, it's nice to be able to see that when I know a lot of people have not decided to make that purchase maybe yet, since it just came out. Oh, engage coming out from the J4 onto this Seraphine MF, but it's not going to be enough. Jump coming out from the Braum, has to use that unbreakable door that he's got to be able to get J4 out.
Yeah, getting out healthy, able to back up, go into the river and start to just mount your comeback right over towards mid lane, possibly. Obviously, the Jin Zhao in a little bit of a difficult spot. They are not nearly as completed in their minions or jungle clear as their opponents are, and that's going to allow the Scuttle Crab to instantaneously get collected. We'll be seeing another refresh from both junglers as they both go back into their wells, and what that's likely going to mean is that we're going to be seeing a bit of just a wait, right? It's a pause. Both teams going to likely play a little bit on the slower end of things, and for the time being, that's going to be the case. Everyone very healthy. Nobody's going to look to be the player to make that chance, give over that early kill, and it certainly seems like if anyone's going to be doing it, it is going to be the top laner, the World Ender, in a very tragic spot as Wind Becomes Lightning is going to connect and they are going to go down. It's a very easy kill, and already Conduit Demon Time is looking great.
An early pick on this Darius really sets him behind. He needs those levels, especially on that Vayne. He does not have Ghost. We have to keep that in mind in these fights, that he does not have that rundown potential that normally most Dariuses would have. Normally they would run Ghost Ignite, but because they're against a Vayne, a champion who is ranged, he can't afford to not run that flash, I guess. So there will be more of a safety pick coming out from the World Ender here, as opposed to Antioch and Wheelchair, who just got that pick.
Yeah, this is definitely a very different game than what we saw last time around, right? The World Ender having a much more desolate time playing into this Vayne matchup, and that's what you expect. Vayne, a character who just is just pressuring on every single angle. You give them an inch, they take a mile, and as of now, Flag and Drag comes out looking to try and follow up. The taunt comes through, looking to take them down, but Declogs unable to get taken down just yet. Flashings are forced, and it's going to be the turret to give them that extra bit of life.
Very nice solar snare coming out from this Mel to be able to stop both the Galio and the J4, forcing the J4's flash barely enough to be able to get out alive. The re-engage is here. Galio is able to pick up this kill on the Mel, just because she did overstay.
Yeah, they overstayed their welcome, and that's going to leave the opposing mid laner with a kill. And so now it's feeling taking it over. It's still not a very good position by any means for the side of Monkey. They're now down 0.9k, and obviously it does become a little bit reasonable, but I don't know. I still have a lot of, I guess, doubts that needed to become clear if I want to see this 2-0 be a even possibility. Because as of now, you're practically playing a 45 with this Darius unable to get into this game by any means. They're still only at a Boots and a Doran Sword. Definitely not the ideal loadout anyone is going to be looking at.
Especially with 17 CS, just barely, now 19, you can see he's just not able to get the potential. But here he was. He got the rundown, he got the proc of that new rune, and was able to get the ignite off enough to be able, and only actually because of the Hex Flash.
They're listening to us. They heard us saying, they heard us doubting their skill, and the World Ender said, let me put all doubts to rest. As they take their first kill of the game, they're able to take a lead on the kill, still down on the gold deficit, as it is a 500 deficit from the Darius to that Vayne. But obviously that's something that now that you have this kill, it's going to become slightly easier to be able to get back on. One would have to imagine Declogs getting taken down after the Cataclysm engages. It is phenomenally done, as now we are really starting to see that tempo starting to shake up. A couple more kills coming out, as now this Galio really starting to get fed, as they're up 2 kills in this mid lane. Still not as big. It is still a smaller gold gap than what you see in the top lane, which is definitely tragic to think about. But who knows what that is going to mean for the rest of the game. What I definitely am looking at, though, is going to be bot lane. This ADC, Ashe, likes to play early game. Now that they are 0-0, 7 minutes and 50 seconds in, it's starting to become a position where I'd like to see more from them. Or else this Misfortune, once they do hit that level 6 mark and is able to get that lockup with the Seraphine possibly after an empowered E, it can definitely become a little bit more of a crucial game to win. And I think that there's a good chance that this Misfortune could be the player to look at when it comes to being able to carry this game.
Yeah, Seraphine does have that counter-engage potential with the Encore. I wouldn't be surprised to see it here after this Glacial Fissure. The Xin Zhao is coming in here with his ultimate. He is likely going to pop it. Encore is popped by that Seraphine. It stopped after that shield, but it's not going to be enough, most likely, to be able to stop this Braum from getting, or to be able to keep this Braum from living.
Oh, Bolt Time comes in, is going to be able to find the first kill. As, oh, Wheelchair gets stunned up, locked up, kill comes out.
Kill him.
Absolute tragedy, as now 2 turret shots go on to the opposing Misfortune. Nike Dragon in a little bit of a tragic performance. Heal pot gets procced. Still, though, the E is going to be able to have a small connection, not anything too big. They find that first bit of damage. Nike Dragon still unhalted. Bit of healing comes out as Subporta attempting to try and keep their teammate alive and healthy as long as possible. The issue becomes now, will this J4 be able to find a good engagement? They're trying to go for a long way flank, and it certainly does seem like this Misfortune overstayed their welcome as ADC comes in. Cataclysm to try and make something happen. Barrier comes through. First kill gets found, but that's the tragedy striking, as it won't be the Braum to have proximity for that tower. Instead, it will be the ADC. My team is muted, gets taken out, but it is still going to be a 1-for-1. As it's a heroic entrance.
There might be more here.
Yeah, coming in, Wheelchair jungler.
Possibly falling to this heroic entrance from the Galio. But they aren't able to finish this off because of the TP coming out from Mel into this bot lane.
Certainly not the ideal position in that scenario. Utilize your ultimate. If you are Wheelchair jungler, though, you're able to be very, very happy with that. You're now going to be able to get to your wave clear in the jungle, able to get all that taken care of, and then back going to get possibly even your first item on the line, as they're likely going to, yep, they got that Hydra now. And it certainly does seem like the players, they want to go tanky, which definitely makes sense. Their team comp requires it.
It's very interesting that this J4 choose to tower dive using the Cataclysm to force them to stay underneath the turret, ending up falling to it. It was almost like he was trying to sacrifice himself to be able to enable this Ashe to get ahead, but the Ashe also got hit by that turret. She went ahead and she hit the enemy immediately after the J4 died, so she got targeted by the turret instead of the Braum, who was actually slightly late to the party.
Yeah, they needed to have that Braum be the one to take priority from the tower. Unfortunately, that's a little bit of a mistake to come out. Not the end of the world, but it is definitely something you're going to have to work on. They have the Kraken Slayer now in their hands. This could be something that will be able to skyrocket them to more success. We'll see whether or not they can, as you're likely going to be using that Galio to be the main defender of the Ashe when it comes to big team fights. Up in topside, oh, this is going to be tragic, but the Flag and Drag combined with the ultis from both players will be able to give them a 1-for-1, which obviously slightly will favor this Darius. But in the meantime, Crossing Guard comes out. It's going to be the Bolt Rain as well, through and through. Wheelchair trying to be the frontal prong, and they're going to be able to find a kill. No expenses taken. Instead, they will just be able to get that scot-free.
I wouldn't say completely scot-free, though. That was 3 ultimates from that Conduit side. Both Wheelchair, Nike, and Supporta ended up popping their ultimates to get just that 1 or 2 picks.
Well, the issue is now they're going to be able to get extra plates as well, and with all of this gold starting to be fluctuating, it is back to what we saw earlier on in the game before the heroics came out from the Ash. It is a 1k gold deficit or so, and I mean, it's not impossible, but it is definitely going to be very difficult. Monkey Bonsai going to need to completely reevaluate their options coming into this next few team fights, as topside has been a really big curse from them, with this Vayne able to just completely overwhelm due to the excess of damage that they output, and the Darius unable to really compete in that same regard.
It was a really good final hour from her against both the Darius and the J4 in that last fight that we were able to see. She was able to get the pick on the Darius despite almost falling to him early on. Him needing to pop his ultimate, that guillotine, and the cataclysm from the J4, it just was not enough to be able to make her fall right off the bat. So she was able to get the kill on the Darius here. It does look like Ashe is overstaying just a little bit, but she does have the help of Xin Zhao coming in here on the side. Flash is popped from that J4 and from the Darius to be able to get out of the range of both J4 or both Xin Zhao and this Vayne. Not going to be able to get any benefit out of that gank, and overall just wasting their time in that top side.
Yeah, the time has been expended. Still both players sitting up towards topside, both junglers looking to try and find the gank, and I think overall the World Ender, they're spending a lot of time before backing. Maybe they don't really have any necessary reason to, but oh, that's not good. The bullet time comes in, going to be an arrow to try and make a kind of comeback. 2 players stuck up in the cataclysm. Root comes through. My team is muted, getting taken down. Flash from Nike Dragon, still not able to complete the kill. It is tragic as Wheelchair Jungle gets another kill, and it's a double as well. Nike Dragon putting on a heck of a performance tonight.
What a lane swap here, right as they finish their quests as well. Braum has not finished his quest, so he actually got quite a bit of deficit there, just from roaming to that mid lane before the quest was completed. J4 getting caught out, also just slowing down his clear. He is quite behind here, and that deficit is just going to build and build the longer he waits. You can see Xin Zhao is electing to build a little bit of AP here, just to be able to help his sustain, help his healing potential. And because there's not a lot of anti-heal that might come out from the side of the Bonsais, it might be able to get a lot of value in these team fights, especially before this Seraphine buys that most likely Rylai's to be able to get those hard CCs more reliably.
And I think one of the big issues too is this isn't really a composition from Monkey's Bonsai that's able to make big comebacks. They have a lot of characters that like to just deal damage, and if they are playing just a picture perfect game that is well orchestrated, they can do well when they're in an equal or maybe slightly below equal spots, but against a team that has so much opportunity to be able to get ahead, whether it's the bullet time, whether it's the Xin Zhao with a crescent guard, or maybe a 5-man encore, there's just so many workarounds that you see from Conduit Demon Time that can really start to shake up the pace. Meanwhile, Monkey's Bonsai, I mean, they don't really have that to the same degree. Yes, you have something like the Hero's Entrance or the maybe Justice Punch that can start to deal the damage, but overall, right, you're going to have that Braum frontlining. If they just get bursted down by someone like the Vayne, though, it's not going to matter if you have the Braum. They're going to be flushed out of utility, and it's going to cause them a whole lot of issues.
Out comes the Cataclysm yet again. This engage happening early. Galio Heroic Entrance doesn't come in, but they're able to pick off the misfortune here. The Noxian Guillotine getting the Seraphine, getting that Xin Zhao, and Vayne just not getting there early enough to be able to finish it off. Elio does get this engage on the stun from the Braum onto this Vayne, having to pop Flash and Ghost to get out, but Mel comes in late and ends up getting picked off for it. I don't know where she come from or what she was thinking, but now she's dead.
Yeah, that was actually that was so well orchestrated. We just had the double stun up as with the heroic entrance able to connect onto 3, and then they knocked everyone up again after that. The Cataclysm as well worked its magic. They had a great Ash Arrow to be able to relieve pressure. They got the kill onto DK Lugs instead of trying to march up towards that final player who was alive. It was just phenomenally done as they finally, or not finally, but I guess they will be able to take that lead once more from their opponents. We are going to be seeing the Vayne once more dealing a ton of damage up towards top side, and it is going to cause the World Ender to go for a back once more. They're not going to try and stick around, which I definitely do have to give props where it is due. Vayne is likely going to be able to take this tower within the next few moments, unless this Jarvan 4 does start contesting. We might be seeing the Herald having a bit of a team fight for it. 3 players starting to march up, as well as a Vayne in close proximity if they do want to try and make an attempt.
It does look like Ash is a little late to the party here as well, yet again. Bonsais are just not always there completely, but they do arrive on time. Encore getting blocked by the Braum shield. It ends up getting the Seraphine killed for it. Darius falls, Xin falls, and so does Misfortune. Vayne is soon to follow. That is almost a full team wipe. They're going to be able to get this Rift Herald off of it. And this whole game just took a turn for the worse on behalf of Demon Time. They looked so good here early game, but this turn fight right here may just mean the end for them.
At Conduit Demon Time, they looked like they were going to be able to dictate this game completely, but as we are now looking at these final few moments that we've seen, it has been a complete resurfacing from this side of Monkey's Bonsai, as they've just delivered time and time again these performances worthy of props for sure. As now, I mean, I don't even know totally how they're doing it. It has really just been good team play. We saw a great flank, as well as them being able to lock up the Xin Zhao, one of the main players for this team, being well, I think it was like what they used something like the Jarvan ult, and as well as like the Ashe ult, to just be able to keep them in a steady tone instead of being allowed to just kind of roam 3. As to now we are going to be getting that taunt, as well as Audit coming on a line, everyone coming down towards bot side, as well as a Herald.
Overkill. We did not need to see that much on that Mel. I get we're Noxians, but come on, Darius.
Yeah, the spot lane turret down to its final few plates as well. Not going to be giving them any real workaround. Wheelchair going to actually not get contested. You'd imagine with 3 players there, they might have tried to jump onto them, but they didn't seem to think it was worth it, as there was that turret still in close proximity, not going to want to try and challenge it. Instead, now we look towards what's happening. It's the Baron up. 3k gold lead. There is definitely a world where Monkey's Bonsai will try and opt in for this, as they have that Ashe, was a ton of sustainable damage, as well as some good self-sufficiency with their 3rd item that they picked up. And with 3 items in general, you're already 2 up against your opponent laner. That Misfortune, yes, their ultimate or their items might be a little bit more costly, speaking of like the Bloodthirster, but overall it is still a massive lead against them.
I mean, this is a replay of just what happened in the last game. Ash gets ahead a full item above the entire enemy team again. And those 3 items are going to make a difference, especially when you're looking at Triforce, an item that is so strong on this Ashe. It really changes the game with that movement speed on hit, the slow of the Ashe arrows, with the Kraken Slayer and the Terminus. It's going to make turning these fights a lot more difficult. You can just see the amount of vision denial that the Bonsais are able to get set up for this Drake that isn't even up for another minute. Demon Time is just kind of stuck in...
I think it's not totally the same game as the last time, though. I got to give a lot of props where they're due to the top laner of Antioch, who had a great game to Resurgence.
Comes out.
Yeah, but they still might be able to find this kill, as they're just going to be able to run them down. And oh, never
Oh.
mind.
The refillable pot comes out clutch. I didn't even realize Darius still had that.
Wow. Wow, that definitely unexpected to say the least. As fighting up towards mid, we actually might be getting this Mel called out. They're going to be in a little bit of a scary spot if this Braum's able to spot them out and get the Ashe in close proximity too, to be able to just completely burst them down. It's a very feasible thing, but instead they're going to look for this Hextech Drake. This is 2 games now where Hextech has been the Drake of choice for the Soul, and as they do take it without any real issues, they're now going to go back up, looking to possibly Baron. You see a lot of pings for it up on the minimap. Might even just have all 5 players going in on it ASAP. You're going to understand the fact that there's likely players in close proximity. They've already spotted out too. The Seraphine, I do believe, is still unknown, but they have just now been spotted. Both teams still having a bit of a standstill. Now understanding there's likely going to be that Baron on the way soon. So this red side of CDT definitely going to have to try and play for the contest sooner rather than later.
They are electing to go for this Baron very early on. Galio's protection going to be able to stop anybody who's coming anywhere near this. They are not going to be able to contest this at all by the time they get over to... Oh, they got the steal off because he didn't end up smiting it. Shutdown comes into this J4. Is it going to be enough to turn this fight? I can't really tell. Encore comes out to hit most of the enemy team, but it's not going to be enough to be able to get more than just that J4 and Darius. But Jinzhou does end up falling in that fight. He gets his ultimate off, but he's in the middle of the entire enemy team, so the ultimate doesn't get as much value when the enemy is just able to walk in to the range of this ultimate. Remember, he's invulnerable outside of it, but now that he was within the range of every single enemy player, he just doesn't get the value of that invulnerability outside of the circle.
These are small mistakes you cannot allow to concede. Overall, CDT in a position of strength now, and it was all facilitated by Wheelchair Jungle, who has just had a great idea of being able to steal that. Despite the Galio standing in their way, they do not allow this Baron to go their opponent's way. They flip it easily, and now they're going on to take an even bigger opportunity. They want to try and fight in the mid lane. There's going to be Jarvan 4 to try and contest this. There's no objectives up for a long time, and that's going to be the small glimpse of glory that you're going to get if you are on Monkey's Bonsai, because of the fact that, yes, you're going to be able to handle these minions. You don't have to worry about anything else. The arrow won't connect. If it did, that might have been GG for this life on the top laner, but instead it's going to be the mid lane who will get taken down. But because of the amount of players they invested up towards top side, it is going to be a bot lane tower to be destroyed. They drop in some teleports, able to keep the tier 3 or I guess inside tower healthy. Up in top lane though, it is going to be My Team Is Muted to take down the opposing ADC up in top lane. And now it is just that 1v3 that is likely to transpire. We'll see whether or not they're going to be able to call out this final player. Answer is no, barely.
It looks like the Ashe actually was... the Darius sacrificed himself for this Ashe to be able to get out. Darius went ahead and walked up to the enemies just to be able to stop them from realizing that the Ashe was backing in that alcove. So she was able to get out for free, just at the cost of her own Darius's life. But he's already so far behind, or I guess not anymore, honestly. But because he's behind enough, it doesn't really make a difference to him. He's going this lethality build that is a little cheeky, honestly, on behalf of this Darius. He's going this movement speed build just to be able to run down all of these ranged characters on behalf of Demon Time, just to make his life slightly easier. The Collector does make a little bit of difference. It does actually work with Noxian Guillotine to help execute the enemy champions, to get those resets, to get the benefit of that hemorrhage.
Neither
Fissure misses.
ultimate from these bot laners come out. That's tragic, and that's going to mean that they're going to have a lot less utility to fight in this Drake engagement.
Flash comes out from this vein to be able to get out. But the Galio has a really nice engage there that we can see.
That's ridiculous. The 3-man Cataclysm into the 3-man knockup. V-Ring for the first, going to be the bullet time, but it instantaneously gets taken down by V-Ring. They get a double kill, and now my team is muted on the flank to be able to find 2 as well. Instantaneously opening up, it's going to just be this Darius to completely shut down the opposing Mel, and as Matt Mittens comes in to try and conclude, giving the rest of the team some peel, the hit slow comes out, and that's the pull. Phenomenally done team fight that might just give them the win.
It'll definitely give them the Drake, that's for sure. It'll be up to Soul Point here in a second once they get this. Darius was able to get those resets off with the Doxy Guillotine. Keep in mind, again, once the Doxy Guillotine does land on an enemy champion, if they end up dying to it, Darius gets full stacks of Hemorrhage, his passive, that grants him both movement speed and AD, and quite a bit of it as well, even though he's not level 16 yet. Once he reaches that power spike in level 16, his ultimate will be able to be recast at any point in time, not necessarily during that window of recast when he usually gets his reset from his ultimate.
And so now it is not ideal by any means. You're up 3 Drakes to 1. And with Soul Point on the cards once more, this has definitely been a very much occurrence, right? We see Monkey's Bonsai constantly able to have the advantage when it comes to these Drakes, and it's something that they've been prioritizing in Game 1, Game 2. Definitely not something that we're going to be too relaxing on from their side, right? They constantly want to fight for as many objectives as they can because of the fact that they know it's likely that they can take it. And if they can't, then who will? Who cares? Go again next time, GG's. Maybe if there's something better on the map, they'll try and invest into that instead. But overall, I've been loving the play that they've been able to display so far. Right about now, though, seems like another engagement possible to come out onto the Xin Zhao as you got the flag and drag ready up overhead. Audit the ADC, looking to try and be the main facilitator of an engagement, but so far they're not giving them any room. They want to try and wait until these players are a little bit farther out in front of the turret to hit them with a Cataclysm possibly, but instead they are just making sure this is a very disciplined game. They want to stay behind. Baron now up. Monkey's Bonsai having a great opportunity to try and challenge into that.
Yeah, it does look like they're going to engage here, though, to try to stop this Baron from occurring. They don't realize that it's not actually happening yet, though, so they're trying to stop this. The Ash Arrow comes out, hits the MF, the Enchanted Arrow, with the Glacial Fissure follow-up. Cleanse is not going to be enough to stop that. You can see Xin Zhao tried to slow down this fight, but was not able to stop them completely. Doxy and Guillotine coming out onto the Vayne, getting the reset. He's going to be able to go in, try to get this kill onto the Vayne, onto the Mel, onto the Seraphine, the only 2 members that are still up on the red side. No one fell on Bonsai's side at all during that fight. Everyone had the perfect execution. The target priority was exactly where they needed it. That Ash Arrow landing on the Misfortune, Misfortune not being able to get out or react fast enough at least to flash away from it, to barrier it all. Her R still up when she falls. You can see just the amount of impact that Ash Arrow truly has on this game. Followed up by the Glacial Fissure of the Braum, and then the follow-up of Xin Zhao trying to escape was just honestly a waste of his life, sadly. He started out this game so well. He's gotten so many good plays, but it seems like he's trying to play almost by himself in this game. Like it's a solo queue game. Like, this team works so well as individual players on the side of Demon Conduit, but it doesn't seem like they're able to truly grasp the idea of team cooperation in these team fights. They're not targeting the same characters, they're not trying to get the same abilities out, and they're not timing their abilities together as well as this Bonsai team is. And they're losing a lot of potential because of it. They have a lot of team play potential between Mel and the Seraphine, but it's just not going to be enough if they don't work together on it.
Yeah, this is certainly not optimal if you're on the side of CDC, but I do have to disagree. I think that you're right. They're not a very team-coordinated team, but they can't be with the composition they drafted. They're running 2 mages, 2 ADCs, and a, I guess, fighter. It is not a composition that has a tanky player who's looking to frontline, unlike what their opponents have with that Galio. And so this means that they can't play front to back in any real capacity. They can't dive either. Now a turret's going to go down. Nobody to really follow in that engagement because they didn't force one. They just said, we're going to take this. You guys are going to rotate over, and then we're going to rotate out. And now as they try and fight down towards bot lane, they're going to look to try and call out either this mid laner or maybe this top laner, both just sitting in unison. But as of now, it still just is not a realm of possibilities game. It's looking like with a 5k gold lead, Monkey's Bonsai should be able to take this one with ease.
I'm going to pull them out a little bit on this one. This Xin Zhao ultimate's really early, gets stunned, gets picked off almost instantaneously. Darius comes in with disengage, Cataclysm comes in to stop these disengages, and Ashe comes out to clean them up with that Runaan's Hurricane she just recently bought after that last fight. Mel's rebuttal not going to be enough. It is early. Ashe Arrow still able to land as a result. Vayne comes in this late engage, trying to pick off the Braum, but Braum's shield is enough to stop her from being able to get the pick here. Galio comes in to stop with the range of the disengage, and J4 just might not be able to pick off the Vayne, but it doesn't need to. They're able to shove into this turret, into this Nexus. Vayne's going to fall here against this Nexus, and there's just no one up to defend.
Yeah, that is going to be game as Monkey's Bonsai takes a 2-0 dominant win over Demon Time, as they are going to be able to start off hot within the ESL, looking phenomenal as they take a 68.2k gold lead against 59,000. Certainly not a very close game towards the end there. Obviously, towards the beginning, it did look like there might have been a bit of a lead. Never got too out of hand, and that's where they struck. I've really got to give credit to this Galio, who played a phenomenal game, but overall, my series MVP definitely goes to my Team Is Muted. Game 1, they looked astronomical on that Jinx. Game 2, they kept up the same level of dominance as they moved over to the Ashe. A little bit less maybe, but they still pulled through in the end, looking like a real lethal threat for this league to be worried about.
You know, you can take a look at the gold graph. You'll see it here in a second while we're swiping through these slides here. For the majority of the early game, our Demon Time did have a pretty sizable advantage of 3k gold, but almost 4k. As soon as that fight came in on the side of that Drake, once they obtained that Ocean Drake, there was no real way that they were going to come back. There was a point at which they stole the Baron. There was that dip at 24 minutes, but it doesn't seem like they were able to utilize the Baron to its fullest potential.
Yeah, overall, it was just a phenomenally played game. We'll see what their future looks like for them when they continue playing in the ESL, trying to make a name for themselves, win out in a league of this caliber. Certainly would be nice for them, but obviously that is going to be the game. A 2-0 victory. Very nicely done for Monkey's Bonsai. Great job in general for Conduit Demon Time. Unfortunately, they could not play the same caliber, but you know what they say, you lose, you learn, and I'm sure they can have a lot to learn